That's
Hi
different.
guys, welcome back to another production meeting. Everyone's here. We're back on schedule, right? I think.
I mean, the sun's out.
Yeah, you might
yeah, that's
not
right.
recognize us by this blinding light coming out of all of our screens.
The
Matt, you doing okay?
We're actually recording at regular times. We're just coming to you live from Japan right now.
Japan. That's
All
why
of
my
us.
background is different.
Yeah, that's a hotel he's in.
Until I have to stay in for 10 days.
No, guys, it's actually noon, and we're all
Yeah.
morning people now. Clint's got his coffee. Ryan's got his water. Alex has apparently nothing.
Came
I
unprepared.
got.
I just
got
run
my
on
LaCroix.
adrenaline.
You would have a LaCroix.
We're all set, man.
All right. Well, what did you guys do this week?
You guys go first.
Mine's quick and easy. I didn't do much. I watched a relatively new movie with. Goodness gracious! Sorry, it's early. What's Finn's name from Star Wars?
John Boyega?
I can't. Oh,
John
John
Boyega.
Boyega. Thank you. Called Naked Singularity, which is about a lawyer who is struggling to come to terms with the system, and then he decides to help a criminal steal lots of money. It's not a very good movie. You don't need to go out of your way to watch it. I won't get into it because it's not worth checking out. It's got like a 4.4 on IMDb, but it's not that bad. It's just not worth watching. Other than that, I didn't do much. So
We need to add a new segment of every week called What piece of crap did Ryan watch?
yeah, apparently we just watched. I was looking through my movies that I watched, even the not new ones, and I'm like, I just didn't watch anything good this week. I watched one of Jackie Chan's newest films called Bleeding Steel from 2017, which apparently he's just not made any good movies in the last 10 years. So,
Did you say Jackie Chan?
Yeah.
Is he still doing his own stunts?
no, half of them. They intentionally make him like a masked figure for the half the stunts, and then he removes his mask to do the easier stunts mid-fight.
Yeah,
But I mean, he's in
He's like 70 years old now.
Yeah.
Yep. And they keep talking him into these movies, even though he's in 30 minutes of this 2-hour movie that feels like it's 4.5 hours long because it's 16 plots all thrown together. It's also not worth watching. I didn't do anything very notable this week.
I think the last Jackie Chan movie I watched was The Foreigner.
That's good.
I thought it was all right.
I feel like we should call this segment Ryan Takes a Bullet.
I mean, if you want, I can go through. I watched 5 Jackie Chan movies for this week for some reason. I watched Skip Trace, which isn't good, and then I watched. Let's see what else. Twin Dragons, which is much older. That was actually kind of funny, but not very good. And then newer one. I can't remember the name of it. Again, I seriously Kung Fu Yoga from 2017, also, which is terrible. So.
Thanks for saving us all the time, Ryan.
You're welcome. Just if Jackie Chan's not made a movie without Owen Wilson or from before the 90s, you don't need to watch it.
That's true.
Chris Tucker.
Yep.
I guess.
First two, maybe.
Yeah. The first one's better. The second one's funnier.
And just join us next week when I review all of Chris Tucker's recent films.
There's The Fifth Element. And then there's other movies.
A couple of Rush Hours in there.
Yeah.
It said his recent work, which comprises
I'll be back.
Like he said, Fifth Element.
Didn't he do a stand-up just recently? I say recently, last 5 years.
I don't know. He probably sat down too.
Probably did.
What did I do this week?
Yeah.
I started
Finally watching Ted Lasso. I'm in 4 episodes so far. I remember Matt reviewing it months ago. It's all right. It's not heavy on the football, but I mean that's to be expected. I like Jason Sudeikis. He's doing well where it's not like it's obviously Jason Sudeikis doing his kind of usual, what do you call it, improv kind of dealio. But so it's all right. What else did I watch? Watched The Homework. I finished the Ghost of Tsushima Iki Island expansion. That took me like 2 solid days of just playing for about, I think, really took me about 8 hours to finish, give or take. It's good. It feels pretty much like the rest of the game. It's just literally what it is entitled is an expansion. But I did play it on the PS5 with its enhancements, and it's really good. If you thought this game was already good looking enough, the PS5 takes that even a step further, so it's like gorgeous looking. And then those are my highlights. Yep, that's it.
I'm going to piggyback on what Alex just said. I've been playing gratuitous amount of Ghost of Tsushima as well, but I didn't want to spend $30 to see those gorgeous graphics because that's absolutely ridiculous after I already have the game. Plus, I'd be getting the DLC, and I'd rather see if I can finish the game first before I get the DLC for that, the extra island. What else did I watch? I have to go to my list, which I don't think I have updated recently. I'm not sure if I talked about this title, but I watched it a couple weeks ago, Blood Red Sky, which is on Netflix, which is an interesting film. If you like snakes on a plane, and you're like, hey, what if those snakes were vampires? I would definitely check it out. It's really interesting. It's a little long, but I think it's definitely worth a watch. I also finally sat down and watched the Nicolas Cage classic horror film Mandy yesterday, which I have attempted to watch before, and it's got glorious reviews, oddly enough. It starts very slow, very, very slow. It's shot very well. It looks aesthetically pleasing. And if you can get through the first 30 minutes, it's definitely a very artsy, trippy film, but I think it's worth a watch if you like Nicolas Cage movies and horror movies.
It's called Mandy?
Yeah.
Mandy,
It's on Shudder.
It's got maybe the most exciting chainsaw fight.
Yeah. Dueling chainsaws, if you've ever thought about that. It's interesting. So that's what I did. And now I'm all ready to hear about Clint's exciting week.
Well, I watched the documentary on HBO, Woodstock 99. Have you guys seen this?
I watched it, and I watched it when it first came out, and I thought it was when it first came out, it was episode 1, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be a series. And then I waited for 2 weeks and nothing else came out, and I was like, oh, it's just the one episode. Well, that's disappointing, but I don't know where else they would have gone, because it's 2 hours of pretty much the beginning of the thing to the end of the thing. But yeah, I did. And yeah, Clint, we're really angry. We're a really angry generation.
I don't get it either. I was watching this and I was just like, wow, we're really angry people. They just destroyed this, was it an Air Force base or something? Converted Air Force base that they held this thing at.
Well, yeah, for those of you who haven't watched or just heard the name, it's basically a documentary on Woodstock 99, which was what was it, the 30th anniversary or the 35th? Yeah. 30th. So it's and it's basically they rehashed Woodstock 99, or they were Woodstock 94 was a huge success, so let's do Woodstock 99. But they neglected to think about logistics and just thought about money, more or less. Yeah. And bad things happen. So go check it out. It's super interesting.
Well, I think it's also the bands at the time that they tried to get. It was just like Limp Bizkit and Korn and Rage Against the Machine and just Metallica, all these angry bands, and they had 3 female artists. Yeah. The whole.
Well, usually my Spotify playlist goes Korn, Melissa Etheridge, Limp Bizkit, then Jewel. And none of these young guys probably know half these bands. Maybe they
I've,
probably.
I got a chance to meet Korn, but I didn't because he spoke at a convocation once at Liberty. He's
Okay.
insane. I feel like I've had this conversation before.
Jonathan
I think you
Davis?
have, Jonathan
Yeah.
Davis. Yeah, I believe you have. Fun fact: Jonathan Davis had COVID, and now he can't perform his entire set standing up. I saw that in the news article. So
Wow.
yeah,
That sucks.
that
Anyway.
does suck.
Anyway, so I think it was just the bands that they picked, and then like they had like DMX. So it was just like all these angry people, angry music, filled with like summer heat and like $4 bottles of water. So
And communal showers.
yeah,
Ugh.
so bizarre. Anyway, so I'm caught up on Titans. I love the show. I really highly recommend watching the show. It's, I think, what DCEU should be, to be honest with you. I am also watching Ted Lasso. I'm caught up with season 2. I love this show. Alex, it gets so much better.
Oh, it's not bad. It's just it's slow goings, and I mean, for where I'm at, what did I say? 4 episodes in, it feels like major league. That's the whole premise.
Yeah.
But I like it. Don't get me wrong, I like it. Yeah, I'm ready for the kind of step up the notch.
Mm-hmm. I've watched the first 3 episodes of The White Lotus. It's on HBO. This show is so bizarre.
I keep seeing that advertised myself every time I go on HBO because I've been watching some episodes of Samurai Jack and then like older cartoons, and that keeps popping up first. So I'm like, wonder if this is any good.
I mean, right now, like it's okay. Like it's just, I think it's just a satire on like American social class, because it's about like a group of people, like rich white people that go to like this resort in Hawaii, and then it's about them, and then it's about like the wait staff that, you know, the staff of the hotel, and just kind of like the interactions that each one of them have with each other. And there's just some really kind of like bizarre satirical conversations that they have. So I mean it's good. It's good, great acting. So
Oh, and speaking of HBO, I forgot that I did also watch Reminiscence. That was better than I think general reception has given it. It's not a great movie, but I found myself engaged towards the end, and I was like, not a bad story. I like the concept, and the performances are pretty well. I mean, I know, not really giving reviews yet, but 7 out of 10 for that one. I would actually own that movie. That's actually not too bad. Some things need to be changed a little, a couple oddities, but otherwise, I felt like this deserved a little bit better of an audience than it got. So, but I think Warner Brothers kind of knew this was a more or less throwaway title, and if it stuck, great. If it didn't, all right, we'll just move on.
yeah, this is definitely, like, I watched Reminiscence as well, and this is definitely for a specific viewership. I gave it a 6. Like, I can see, like Matt and Ryan was talking about it last week, I can definitely see that, like, there's just some things that were just kind of like, they kind of went like off to the left.
Yeah.
And there was just like some, like Matt, you said, like the world building. Yeah, I wanted to know more about like what had happened. They just kind of drop hints of like what could have happened, and like the water and like memories and all this other stuff, and you're just kind of sitting there going, I don't really care about these people. I just want to know why Miami's flooded.
So I think why I thought it was a little bit better is when they have when movies have blatant like plot holes that they know about. They're like, wait, how did I do this? Like, are we in one of these tub things? Are we in the past? Are we actually experiencing what's now? And then they go back and they plug in that hole. They say, okay, this is what was happening. And I guess it's the problem solver or solution type of part of my brain was like, oh, I'm elated because I finally have that what is it? That conclusion, that explanation. So I guess I thought it was a little bit better for certain things. Now, like the whole explanation of why this place is underwater, I don't know. Well, not underwater, but flooded. That's a little weird. I don't think they ever really go into that other than just this is a futuristic dystopian place.
Yeah.
Just take it for what it is. But yeah, I guess I'm just a little bit more lenient because they answered a couple of questions that I was thinking mid movie, and so.
I think maybe you just had a stressful day at work, and you sat down in that lonely theater, and you just got your Hugh Jackman performance, and you're like, wow, this was nice. I really enjoyed this. This was a pleasant experience away from my stressful day at work.
You could be right on the money because I don't remember having too bad a day, but I was the only one in that huge theater to myself in this movie. So,
captive audience, man.
Yeah, I know, captive audience. I was glued. I was like, okay.
Well, I mean, to me, there's just like some things that they could have done. Like I said, I text you guys. I was like, what is the deal with the accents and not letting them be like, this is a dystopia in the future. Why can't he just have his regular accent? And the other thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because like Rebecca Ferguson is walking around with like her English accent, so it's like obviously there's foreigners coming in here. The other thing is that I think they should have kept spoilers for Reminiscence. I think they should have kept the villain, if that makes sense, without trying to give like spoilers away. Right. I think that they got to that point and they just kind of like Warner Brothers or somebody stepped in and was like, well, we can't have this person be the villain. I mean, that's just wrong. And I think they should have kept with it. I think they should have gone in full circle with it instead of leading you through 3/4 of the movie with this one person being the villain and then going, oh, just kidding.
That's a fair point. The accent thing, the only thing I could maybe say for that is he has to narrate in order to do his job, and so I guess it's a little bit more graceful to have an American accent. I'm just trying to justify. I don't care either way, but I'm like then having him in his Australian accent, which I wouldn't mind. So then I go back to thinking, okay, maybe you are right, Clint. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's a good movie either way. I probably would have liked it regardless. So
we just can't have all these random accents in this American film that takes place in Miami. Where's their Miami accent? Why didn't he speak with a Latin accent? Where's my Spanish?
Spanish.
Oi, reminiscence,
Oh,
going on a journey.
I will say I forgot one thing I also watched this week, and I'm a little ashamed of it, but I've really enjoyed this TV series. Thanks to Hulu for suggesting it to me, even though I don't know why I clicked on it. I was just like, you know what, I'm going to throw this on and see. Is Dave on FX, which I don't know if you guys have seen, but it's basically Little Dicky, who's this rapper, satirical rapper, and it's the cast in the show and the writing in the show is absolutely hilarious. Some of it's way over the top, like super over the top. And if things gross you out, do not watch this because they don't leave any stone unturned. But between the casting and the writing in this, it's great. And I watched the first season, which is only like, I think 10 episodes. And I watched like 3 episodes of the second season and I've enjoyed every bit of it. If you're a fan of like, he reminds me a lot, oddly enough, this is not a rapper, but a Jewish guy, Albert Brooks. If you like Albert Brooks' stuff, I would definitely check this out. I think it's very reflective. So it's interesting. So Dave, there you go on FX.
There you go. All right. You guys ready for the news?
Yeah.
There's news?
There is a few bits of news. So first up, we got Top Gun and Mission Impossible 7 are delayed again. I'm with Ryan. Alex, I think it was because Tom Cruise started yelling at everybody. That's just me.
But Ryan has a theory that could have some weight to it, where these movies don't exist, and it's all a marketing ploy.
Tom Cruise is just pranking us.
They have yet to actually shoot them. The COVID thing actually shut them down, and they're like, "Dang, we still need to film these."
I mean, the trailer for Top Gun is so vague that all you need is just a couple actors and like a day of shooting on the old set.
Yeah.
You can totally make a fake trailer real quick with Tom Cruise's money.
Yeah, and just have silhouettes.
Yeah.
They just Zack Snyder cut the original Top Gun.
Get some new Air Force stock footage.
We'll CGI the planes to make them look more relevant. I mean, they're gonna have to cut out Val Kilmer anyway.
So
he fought to get him in there.
They moved Top Gun to Memorial Day next year, yeah? And then
Yes.
they didn't give a release date for Mission Impossible, or did they?
He shut down production.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Release Impossible.
Release Impossible.
I would imagine probably like July.
Yeah. And then go ahead, Ryan.
Isn't this also like the second time Cruise is shut down? I'm not saying this one's Cruise's fault. I think it is. Isn't this like the second time he's shut down production on Mission Impossible 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, because something about how nobody was wearing masks. Remember that freak out that came out like recently? Yeah. So that was one of them.
I just want to walk around with Tom Cruise as he gets angry and just laugh and chuckle the whole time.
I don't know if I ever have a desire to be in a room with Tom Cruise.
Like, dude, why are you getting so worked up, man? Calm down.
Well, and then there was Ghostbusters got pushed back to the 19th of November. So that's just 1 week back of its original date, which I don't know. Maybe they were trying to get more of a Thanksgiving feel for this.
Well, yeah, I mean, didn't one of those titles come off that date?
Yeah.
Something came off that. Yeah. So it's like,
see,
so they were like, oh, that's a better date. We're moving there because
It is.
we gotta get those Thanksgiving dollars.
Yeah.
And I mean, moving Top Gun, it's not really a surprise. I think Paramount they weren't first to start moving projects last year, but like when they pulled Top Gun last year, they just took it off the release schedule for a while, right? They didn't put it back on. So I was like, that's not a surprise that they just did it again. They were the first studio to do it. The other studios had to because their movies were out.
And this isn't like, I mean, I know Clifford wasn't a big title for them, but they had already done that. They took that off the release about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, because they're like, we can just put this direct to DVD in the red box.
Yeah.
Which they should.
So.
I will say this though, they did. I'm hopeful for Ghostbusters being released, even because they pushed it back to that date. They did screen it apparently, the entire film at CinemaCon this week, so it's out there. It's already done. It's ready to come out.
Were there any reviews, or not reviews, but any like general reception bits?
I stayed. I just know that it was released, and the general consensus was that it was not like overwhelmingly good, but good and paid respect to the original more so than the last film that came out.
You mean Ghostbusters 2, right?
Yes, Ghostbusters 2.
The last one?
Yeah.
Yes. 1989 Ghostbusters 2.
Not Who You Gonna Call.
All right.
Man.
Moving on. Speaking of films that keep changing their release date, Venom gets a PG-13 rating.
No surprise.
I mean,
The sad thing is, it's like no surprise, just like the last one, but it's like, come on, man. Come on. Just do it. Just do it. Just
Pull the trigger.
Hey, Deadpool. Remember Deadpool. But no, they're not.
You can't
Joker.
put an R rating on a movie that only features an alien creature biting people's heads off. Come on, Matt. That's obviously PG-13 worthy, and people who like that source material, especially once you introduce Carnage, have to be respected with that watered down PG-13 rating.
Well, the fact that the subtitle of the film is "Let There Be Carnage" is like, are we
Could
though?
be a little bit. You said that. You like let there be let there be mild carnage.
Mild carnage. Just not. I would like to say carnage is defined as the killing of a large number of people. So I guess it's okay as long as it's off screen, or at least very vague, like maybe a flood or something.
yeah, as long as it's just implied and not shown.
Graphically.
I hate every minute of this. I'm sorry. Like I just like Ryan said, it's just like it's in the title. Like let's pull the trigger. Just do it. Like I'm not really understanding. I'm wondering if this has anything to do with like them trying to connect like Spider-Man into this and like connect to the MCU somehow, and they don't want to like go way overreaching with Carnage, so they do this as a PG-13 so they can still keep like the kids. I don't know.
Well, it's a bummer they're not working hand in hand with a studio that's really good at merging different genres and tones of films and superhero aesthetics. You know, like throwing the Guardians of the Galaxy into like a serious situation and having it blend perfectly. It's a bummer that that's not anywhere to be helpful to them.
Good thing we're recording in the daytime because we need all that shade.
Shade on who? I don't know. All right, let's move on because yeah. So
She's getting worked up. She's getting worked up. Move on.
I am. So Rocketeer is getting a sequel from David Aiello.
I'm pleading ignorance. I don't even know what Rocketeer 1 is.
What?
It's pretty good.
Add it to your list. Is it on Disney Plus? It's a Disney movie. With
maybe.
like Billy Campbell and isn't Timothy Dalton in it?
Yep.
How old is this?
30.
30, yeah.
I think it just celebrated its 30-year anniversary. Like a few months ago, actually.
91. Let's see. Yeah, it's one of those films where I don't believe it was too successful when it was released, but it definitely has a cult following. And I say cult, I mean, I guess like children or young adults and kids really liked it when it came out, but it wasn't like commercially that successful. And then those kids, as they got older, have made it, made it a point to be like, hey, check this movie out. It wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good. And now those people are in high enough power to be like, hey, man, can we do Rocketeer 2?
I was about to argue that those don't usually do well, but here we are about to talk about Candyman, so I'm just going to not bother mentioning it.
But this time the Rocketeer is black.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that true?
Okay.
I would imagine so, because it says that he set the star.
Okay.
I think it's like him and his wife, I believe. He's doing this.
We're getting 2 Rocketeers?
Maybe. But yeah, Alex, I think the first one's on Disney Plus right now.
Huh.
But like how hard of a sell is this now, the Rocketeer, now that we have like Marvel universes with all sorts of Marvel characters flying around with their own rocket packs?
I don't know. Like I'm kind of with you guys. Like I don't understand like why it took this long to like get this going. And Alex, like, no, it's not gonna blow your mind. It's just, I think it's because it was like this, like the aesthetic is like the 30s, and he has like some rocket pack or whatever, and he's fighting like Nazis or something like that. I can't even remember now. But yeah, I mean, I think it was just a good performance.
I think they're indescript fascists.
Something like that, yeah. And
I've seen the poster for this before.
Yeah, the reason you didn't get that sequel is because apparently the budget was 40 million and it looks like it only made like 46.7.
Oh, so it broke.
So they're like,
yeah,
makes sense.
but I think this one's going straight to Disney Plus.
Also makes sense.
now it makes even more sense.
Yeah, I mean, like losing money on it.
Yeah, like I like the movie and I'm not opposed to a sequel, but it didn't strike me as a financially smart decision until you said Disney Plus. And the stuff that's been going to Disney Plus seemingly is better than the stuff Disney's putting in theaters. So there's that.
Probably because they
Bad,
don't.
Ryan. Bad.
Yeah. Well, probably because they don't have anything to lose. You know what I'm saying? They made their money, sort of.
And they own Pixar, so they can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here waiting for my Heavyweights 2. Just waiting for my Heavyweights 2 to come out. That's all we need.
Well, you need to tell one of them to stop doing drugs.
I think he's clean now. I think he's good now.
Clean.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all gonna have to be about their kids and how they're overweight. Because all the people look good now.
No, he needs to get back on the ice first.
They can bring Paul Feig back. He can direct it.
Yeah. There you go.
Fun fact: Paul Feig's actually a co-star in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah, he's one of the counselors.
Yep. He's Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's the skinny counselor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that. Learn something new every day. Speaking of Disney, Jungle Cruise 2. Yay.
So is this the one where we get the keep in mind I've never seen the original Jungle Book. Is this one where we get the pirates that live underwater? And the father? Is this one?
Hopefully.
Okay.
Cross some fingers.
Hope they bring the Kraken back.
They're going to come out like in the same year. Rocketeer is going to be a surprisingly good film that was forced on Disney Plus, and Jungle Cruise 2 is going to be something you can either pay $30 to see or go to the theaters and pay to see, and it's going to be worse than the first one, which isn't a good movie.
It's
you hear it here, folks.
In my opinion, it's passable, but it's not great.
I hate this. Sorry.
Doesn't warrant a sequel. I don't know why this is happening.
All right, what's going to be better, Jungle Cruise 2 or this Haunted Mansion reboot?
Heavyweights.
Season 2 of Mighty Ducks.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We forgot to talk about that. Did you know they got a second season? Even
I'm
more
glad,
enticing to Ryan to watch this show.
I said I would watch the movie before the first season even came out, and I didn't. I have no regrets.
Well, now spoiler alert, Ryan. They're the Ducks now, so I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. I wonder if they're going to go to some international competition this time and face Iceland again.
Probably. In LA.
Yeah.
For some reason. All right. Speaking of movies that we didn't need more of, The Expendables. Getting a fourth one.
I was about to ask, aren't there 5 of them already or something?
Just the 3, because the third one completely tanked. Which is kind of surprising that we're getting another one.
Which one has Mel Gibson?
2?
I don't know.
It was pretty much here's how The Expendables goes. The first one comes out and everyone's like, oh my God, this is a crazy concept. This is awesome. I can't wait to see it. That's awesome. And then you watch a movie and you're like, okay, that was kind of cool. And then they're like, you're going to get a second one. And we're like, oh, okay. It was a cool concept. I can't wait to see it. I guess. All right. Okay. Yeah. It's the same movie. All right. Third one. What? The third, weren't they already expendable? Why are we bringing them back? And then you get this one, and now we get a new one. So maybe I am down if they find a new random pool of maybe recent people to put in here.
Well,
but I don't drop some knowledge, man.
I'm dropping some knowledge. We got Tony Jaa and everybody's favorite action star, Megan Fox.
You asked.
Gonna have Keanu Reeves in there somewhere.
Ooh. There you go.
Who else is recent? Is Liam Neeson in any of them? I'm surprised that hasn't happened.
I think he is in one.
Oh, okay.
I feel like he is, but maybe not. Bring him back. They're expendable. It's okay.
Put him in the movie.
I know Harrison Ford is in one of them. He's a helicopter pilot in one of them.
I know one of them made everyone hate Bruce Willis for rightful reasons, because he was like, I don't want to do a day of work or 3 days of work for $3 million. I want $4 million. And they're like, go away. And I did.
Nice.
Go away.
But I don't even remember which one that one was. I just remember that they all have CGI blood squibs, and it's really bad. The movies and the script. I don't think the movies are terrible, but they're only as good as their concepts.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So DC FanDome is going to be second DC FanDome is going to be coming on October 16th. There's a lot of talk about like trailers for the new Suicide Squad game, Gotham Knights games. I've also read that they were having some like a new trailer for the Batman, which by the way, I guess they've had some early screenings for it, and they said that it's pretty dark, like almost horror movie dark. So, and then a lot of people are praising Paul Dano for his Riddler.
Good.
Yeah.
Paul Dano does not have enough attention.
No, he doesn't. He's a very good actor.
Well, both, like, I think it's crazy for anyone to assume that it's not going to be so dark between those two leads, you know, Dano and Pattinson. They're both ridiculous individuals when it comes to their, like, recent projects. I mean ridiculous as in, like, crazy, over the top. These could be insane. So I believe every little bit that comes out about this movie. It's just, you know, what they edit together and what the director wants.
Yeah. They also had a poster for the Peacemaker. I don't know if you could, for his TV show that's coming up next year. It's so ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I'm a child, man. I chuckled so much when I saw that poster. I can't help it. I was just like, that joke is just too easy and too stupid. But thank you. That's hilarious. Just because that character is ridiculous too. So, which is why he got his own show.
Yeah. I don't know.
That and it's John Cena.
Alex is so excited about this.
Whatevs.
So yeah, the 16th. So we're gonna get like a be prepared. So on that show following the 16th, we'll have a lot to talk about, apparently. So and we're gonna end on a sad note, as we always do. Mr. Ed Asner has passed away. The man was like 91 years old, so
Just one of those other people that you're like, dang, he was still alive.
Gone too soon. What were his?
Apparently.
I know him in stuff. What was what works was he?
Well, he'd be best known for the Mary Tyler Moore Show. He was.
Yes, that was it. That was it.
He was the voice of in Up. I can't remember. Carl. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Fredrickson.
Yep.
He was, and I didn't know this. Like he voiced, I guess, a lot of like '90s animated shows too. Like he was on the Batman the Animated Series. He was in with Jane Jonah Jameson and Spider-Man. I guess he did a lot of voice work. But yeah.
R.I.P. Sir.
Yep.
R.I.P.
You guys got anything else?
You talking about DC? I was getting mixed up with the game that got revealed last week, but it's not DC. It's Marvel. The Midnight Suns trailer got dropped for PS4 and PS5. That looks interesting. I forget who's the developer behind it. Notorious, but as they are. But the game looks really good. I'm cautiously optimistic. This is a wait for the reviews kind of game for me. And then I think it was 2 weeks ago, we got the Horizon Forbidden West trailer, or not trailer, but release date. And then today, being, what's today? September 2nd, the pre-orders went live. And I actually went ahead and got my pre-order on PlayStation Direct. So yay, look at that. So if you're interested in, go ahead and snag in a pre-order. There it is right there. Little plug right there for PlayStation. Yay. I can't remember anything else. I think that was the one that stuck out in my brain, that Midnight Suns one. But yeah.
Now, is Midnight Suns like an expansion, or is it like an actual game?
No, I think I don't know actually. If I was interpreting it correctly, I thought it was its own game. But it says Midnight Suns: The Awakening. So I guess maybe The Awakening is like sometimes I don't know. I don't know too much about this game. If it's already been released, if this is an expansion or what, but there's just something involved with it going on soon rather than later. So we'll talk about that next week once I actually come prepared.
Cool.
All right. Also, a few things. I would also like to say we're going to talk about this film later, but Candyman grossed $22.3 million this weekend, which seems to be almost the benchmark for number one films, at least these past few weeks, is around $20 to $25 million.
Mhm.
I don't know if anything's going to be able to break that in the next couple of months. We'll see what Shang-Chi does.
Yeah.
So that'll be crazy if it does like 40 or 50, but you never know. This is also the first number one film to be directed by a Black woman. So
Yeah.
she beat her Eternals.
Yeah, I know. I read that earlier this week, and I was like, well, if I'm still under the presumption that if One Night in Miami had come out in better circumstances theatrically, that would have gotten the number one. I think it's more deserving, but that's just me. Like,
Well,
both are good in their own respects.
It's tough too because that film kind of picked that end of December release where you got a lot of other big movies coming out. So you also have to have that film primed for theaters in a weekend to itself, which Candyman had. So I'm not saying Candyman doesn't deserve number one, but it did have an easy number one.
Yeah, it had more setup for success.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'd also, this is according to IndieWire. Apparently, Tom Cruise trained for Mission Impossible 7 for a year. He's probably training more now. And this included 500 skydives and 13,000 motorcycle jumps. I guess
that's just recreation for him, though. It's not training for the movie. It's just what he's been doing in his free time.
How is he not dead yet? I'm just kidding. Hope he lives for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Another thing, according to Deadline, this is the most not that great of news. I'm more interested in it, but apparently the Borat breakout star Maria Bakalova, who plays his daughter in that, is cast in a lead in a rom-com called, the most generic title yet, The Honeymoon. So this will probably be straight to Redbox, and we'll probably never see it again. But good luck, Maria.
All right, and then Ryan, you'll tell us about it the week after.
I'm not going to go out of my way to, not for a rom-com.
But I'm more interested just to see, because all we've seen her in is Borat. So I'm interested to see what the other side of the coin is for, like if she's actually like remotely talented.
Matt will bring us this review in a couple weeks.
Yes, I probably will whenever this gets gas. And the biggest news, and I guess this came out yesterday, and this is on Empire Online. Apparently, George Miller cast Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa after seeing an early cut of Last Night in Soho. So
cool.
That's pretty dope, I think, if that's true and accurate. So
can't wait for that movie.
Which one?
Yeah.
Soho.
Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's all the news. Sweet. All right. We got hit our review then. So we reviewed Candyman, as we were just talking about. So Candyman. What?
I'm keeping track.
Oh.
I thought you were telling him to wait.
And I was like, all right. So the film, I'm not even gonna butcher his name. I'm sorry.
Wait, how are we?
It's a man, and it has candy in it.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka?
No. Okay. So I'm not gonna butcher the actor's name. He was in the Watchmen series, but he plays Anthony McCoy. And he is a painter that gets swept up into an urban legend surrounding a suburb of Chicago.
I think it's Yahya Abdul Mateen.
Mateen.
What Ryan
Mateen.
or what Matt said. I just lost my place. So he gets wrapped up into like an urban legend through a little place in Chicago, and horror ensues. So this is very very difficult film to review. So I'm going to do this on the technical side. So for technically, I'm going to give this movie like a 6, at least 6.5. Let's go 6. Because the story is pretty good. I liked all the actors, especially Tanya Paris. I think she was the most sympathetic character out of all of everybody that was in here. I did want to see like more of like her backstory. Like it kind of made me want to see a little bit more of her backstory because like we get glimpses and flashes of it, and it's just like what makes her the way that she is not really fully explained. I think the music, I really like the music for some reason, and I think Nia DiCosta, who's the director of this film, like you said, Matt, got #1 this week. I think that she did a great job with the camera work and directing everybody. I couldn't. The ending of this movie, I just couldn't get on board with. There was just something about it that I just couldn't get on board with. But that's just my opinion. So I gave it 6. I'll probably interrupt while you guys are going.
Who feels more compelled to give their thoughts on this? Okay, I'll go next then. I don't know what to make. I'm in the same wheelhouse as Clint. Like from a production standpoint, yeah, there are a lot of cool points to this movie. The music is the standout to me. It's very eerie and fitting. So I think that's the best aspect of this film. The shots are nice. The cinematography is good. The shots are held. And I don't know if this is much of a spoiler. I mean, if I leave names out, I think it'll be okay. But there's a certain scene where you see a victim of Candyman's in the apartment from like, I don't know, probably about a half mile away. I don't know. And it's panning out and you see more of the apartment and everybody's just kind of naturally doing their own thing as they would without having knowledge of what's going on around them. So I was like, okay, that's interesting how you show kind of like a murder that goes on. And it's like, it's an interesting concept how it goes on while still normal activities are right around going on. I don't know. It's a concept that I don't think is explored too often. So I like that shot. It kind of stuck with me. The story is decent. It's obviously got its little splash of the original. Now it's giving kind of more of a origin / just kind of, I don't know exactly how to say this, but the story's all right. It does, and we'll probably get into this in a moment or two. It has a few political tones to it that, depending on who you are, is you know, it may be good, it may be bad. I don't know. It might be fitting. It might be a little over the top. I don't know. It just depends on who you are. I'm just saying that it's there. I'd say a 6 overall. I did not hate this film at all. But I certainly don't feel like I would own this film or I would rush back to watch it again. The only reason I would is to see if I missed like a hidden detail or two. Otherwise, I'm good. I probably will honestly forget about it in a week or two or in a month. So 6 out of 10.
I did not like this movie. I was trying to look at it in a couple different ways. I think on its own, it's fine. And if you were looking for a recommendation and you just choose not to go see The Night House, which is still playing, I think, hopefully, then I guess you can go see it and it's an okay time. Having especially if you have not seen the original. I think it's better without the original because the original is a pretty good movie. And I think that's everything that's wrong with this one because the original did so much really, really well without, I don't want to say trying hard in a bad way, but it's full of rich subtext that we don't get in this one. This one's just a very on-the-nose slasher flick that gets really heavy-handed at the end. And everything that I liked or didn't like seemed to be working towards that ending, except not. The ending still kind of comes out of nowhere, so I'm not sure what we were building up to the whole time. I think there's definitely some technical merits to this movie. The score was good. The direction was good for what it was. I think some of the performances were quite good, and some of the performances were fine considering we didn't get to know the characters that long before they started becoming dislikable antagonists. Or not antagonists, but if you've seen the trailer, you know that this protagonist starts to go through this really weird character arc, and that starts so quickly that I didn't care about him. We don't know much about his girlfriend, so I didn't really care about her. They choose to keep us in the dark regarding very interesting backstory that kind of comes into play. That's where, oddly enough, the subtext happens with the characters instead of the story, but I don't think it works quite as well. And the inclusion of the horror element doesn't really work for me. We get some very visceral Candyman presence in the first half of the film, whereas the first half of the original, you pretty much don't see Candyman until 44 minutes in. That works incredibly well for a 1992 film in this era of dead horror movies coming out, where you start to make your audience doubt the sanity of the protagonist and the questionability of the story and the themes behind it, and you're set in this. I cannot remember the name of the apartment complex, but like having a condo complex.
Something green.
Yeah, but like that being set in a real place, which the murder rate was the highest in 1992, following the decline of when it was built, is great. And this film doesn't really do anything with it. And then what it mentions is like oh, gentrification. Stop saying that word. We get it. I want to lead into the themes myself, and that just kind of leads me to the thing where the original film has so many themes and elements surrounding a lot of different issues, but essentially race, and never really digs into any of them. The protagonist gets into a little bit. She starts to figure out some of the interesting things going on, where she's like interesting things about her going there and the police reactions and all these different events dealing with this location's history. But we never really address the fact that like the antagonist is a black character pursuing a white woman, or the fact that you have all these murders that end up, I don't want to spoil too much, but I love the way this film addresses the last one and then doesn't follow it up with anything, because we see Candyman killing people in the first half, so there's no doubt there. And then when you get into like the deeper themes in the end, they're just so on the nose that you don't have anything to read into. So you can spell it all out, that's fine, but it's not as interesting.
I agree. I thought that too. I thought they just kind of blatantly put stuff out there without you kind of putting in your own X and T's and stuff. Yeah.
And I think it essentially boils down to the fact that this is not a bold movie at all. I think the 1992 film is very flawed, and it's ruined by like the worst last 60 seconds I've ever seen in a horror film. But this film doesn't have any mystery or intrigue in any of it. Like, you get it early on, you get where it's going, and then it goes there, and then it gets there, and you're like, well, this was an exciting 90 minutes. You don't, there could be more padded into it to kind of balance out. And in fact, I thought that about the original too. I was like, there could be more tossed in to help fill out this very short movie. And this one, getting to know the characters early on would have helped. But also, we waste a lot of time on things like violent murders. That's great. That's cool. It's very well shot, but it takes away from the myth of the character itself. We're just watching this Candyman character kill people. Great. So what's next? Because that's all we have. Like, there's no doubt in our minds anymore. So nothing to hold on to. And then there's this, I don't want to give too much away, but there's this little twist that is honestly really interesting what they do with the lore. I think it's very interesting the way they kind of build on the lore from the original. But gosh, this twist comes out of nowhere. And anyway, and something that we just definitely talked about between breaks, the lack of a punch at the end, I think, really hurts the film. I mean, the original really holds off on a lot of its scares until the second half, because you, like I said, you spend a lot of the film kind of with the protagonist doubting the existence of this character, because you know it's a horror movie, you know what you're in for, and so you know it's got to happen, but it holds off until maybe the last possible second that an audience can hold on to before meeting the antagonist of the film, and then does not disappoint for the second half of the film, kind of taking you down this spiral of sanity or insanity to the point where you only get a couple really good scares later on, but they are so well crafted. And this film, you get, like I said, you get some grisly murders early on, and the film ends with a couple grisly murders. Great. So what? You don't end with a punch. And we were just talking about that post-credit scene, and as silly as it is, or that end credit scene from the original, and as silly as that is, it's still weird. It's still out there. And this film just ends. Like, I didn't know it was ending. I thought we had another 5 or 10 minutes going. And I was like, oh, we're finally getting this thing happening that I thought would happen, and we're done. So I guess they just did it to do it, and it doesn't actually matter for the story whatsoever. So, yeah. I mean, I only gave it a 5, and that seems actually generous. I didn't hate it. Like, those things that I just complained about, they're just not as good as the original. I didn't hate it. It wasn't not entertaining. It just wasn't that good. I think it could have just been better by being more subtle. And maybe it's because we live in an era where movies feel like they've got to just wear all their themes on their sleeve.
Yeah.
But I get it. Yeah, we get it.
Yeah, I think. Well, first things first. I don't know if I mentioned this. I literally watched this like 4 hours ago. 3.5 hours ago. So I'm trying to still process this, and that's why I let all three of you guys go first. I'm kind of agreeing with most of you, and listening to Ryan's has helped me determine my score, because I was kind of stuck between two numbers. First things first, I know this is a Nia DiCosta movie, or Nia DiCosta. Not sure. I haven't seen any other work. She's got Internals coming out, but this film has a lot of influence from the producer Jordan Peele in it. I mean, he also co-wrote it, but there's definitely a lot of style influence to it, whether it's even through like the musical choices or just the way it's shot. I give so many props to the location scouts for this film. I thought all those shots were amazing. There was a lot of hallway shots that just looked not just like hallway shots, but just, they were all different, and they were all kind of like off-putting the way they were filmed. I enjoyed the lead. What did I say his name was? Yaya, whatever. I thought he was really good. He also was harnessing a little bit of us in him. I thought that was good. I was a little disappointed with Tiana Paris personally. And I don't know if that's her fault, or if that was just the fault of not having a lot of backstory from her character, or her not having a lot to go with. Some of her emotions were a little, I think, not inappropriate, but just it didn't seem to fit the situation in those certain scenes. You guys keep mentioning grisly murders. I mean, there are murders in this film throughout. There's even a scene that's added in, I think, just for pacing issues, because they're like, we need to murder some people. And they add it in there, and I mean, they make it work. They throw in a scene towards the beginning that makes the scene work. But it doesn't really even serve a purpose on here. The thing that I get about these murders is, aside from the first one, and I guess the last one, a lot of these other ones aren't really on screen per se. There's a whole bathroom scene that's totally mainly just sounds and like distance. Everything seems to happen at a distance in this film. Literally, aside from that first one. Even the climax of the movie, there is a shooting that takes place that is more or less completely off screen. I'm not entirely sure what the choice is for this, because this is obviously an R-rated film. I don't know. Go ahead, Ryan.
Finish your thought, but I'll piggyback off that.
I'm not entirely sure what the stylistic choices are. This, like, obviously it's an R-rated film. I'm wanting to say that what Ryan brought up before, it was kind of a roundabout way for them to actually try. In the first movie, you don't see Candyman at all, and I think they were trying to hide him a little bit in this movie, mainly because of the plot of this movie and where it ends up at the end with the aha gasp moment, if there is that, but just basically where this ends. They're trying to keep it very subdued. Maybe not trying to hide Candyman. Guys, just as a spoiler. Maybe not to try to hide him per se, but try to, no, I'm just going to say hide him per se. We'll go to spoilers, then we'll go to that. Overall, I think it's an okay movie. It's not god awful. It's a decent sequel. I think it helps. And if you watch the original and if you like the original and you go into this one, I don't think you're going to enjoy it as much. If you haven't seen the original in a long time, and I think you go into this movie, I think you're going to enjoy it more personally. I was torn between a 6 and a 7 for me because I do like the film. And so I was going to give it a 6. I was stuck at a 6.5, but I think a 6 is good for me. Overall, it was solid. I like Jordan Peele's work, and Nia DiCosta did a great job. Like I said, I enjoyed the way it looked. You know, I think they were stuck behind the 8 ball here a little bit, trying to make this a sequel to the first movie. And they had to tie certain things in, and they had to try to be clever about it. And I think that almost was the downfall of this movie. This was a lot of hurdles that it had to overcome. And like Clint said, the end of this movie, I think it was Clint, it doesn't really, and Ryan too, it doesn't really stick per se. Like it feels like it should keep going, and it seems to happen almost not out of nowhere, but it just seems to rev up really quick, and you're like, what is going? Okay, who are you? What's going on? And it didn't flow correctly, I think, at the end. And they probably could have added about 10 minutes to this or 15 minutes to this, and it would have been a little bit better or a little more solid towards the end. But other than that, I enjoyed it for the most part. And I think it actually made me appreciate the first one a lot more. So I will give a shout out. Whoever, and the one thing that bothered me a little bit is, even though she's only in the film for 2 minutes and she's in 5 seconds of the trailer, the guy who plays the original lady who plays his mother in this movie, I thought she was great, and I really wish she had played a bigger part in this movie. Of course, I say that, and she was only in 2 minutes, and if she had a bigger part, I've been like, why was she in so much of this movie? But I wish I had seen her more in this movie. I think she did a great job. So, spoiler time.
Yeah.
Real
quick, I was going to piggyback off what you were saying about the murders too. I agree with you. I think they felt pressured to kind of do more and do it a little differently. And it's tough because if this were the same as the original but new, we'd probably be picking on it not being different enough.
Yeah.
But now I'm picking on it because it's not being close enough. And I'm like, that sounds very Star Wars-ish to argue. But I think I agree. I think they should have either done more or less. Like if you're gonna reveal that he's actually killing people, kill people.
I will say this though. This is a gripe too. I probably should have said this before. They need to tone down the Foley artist or whoever's doing this slash and blood squirting sound. I have never heard and not seen so much stabbing and blood squirting in my life. These people were emptying out like fountains. It sounded like they were being squeezed out the entire time. And I'm just like, what is going on here? And I mean, I guess maybe that's what Candyman's look does. I don't know. But yeah, it was just very a little over the top. It was very over the top for me. Alex, that was probably one of my favorite shots in that movie, by the way, was the apartment kill pullback.
Yeah.
The part that sticks out, my favorite kill in the first movie is when he pulls that guy through the window in the police office. And I was looking for like a kill like that in this movie to be like, oh wow, that's pretty awesome. And I think that was probably, not that it was awesome, but just the way that it was shot made it look awesome for me. Mm-hmm. So.
Spoilers.
I was gonna say something else I did forget to mention, and I was speaking of cinematography and awesome, and less so the continuity department, but I'll specifically pick the continuity department for the sake of mentioning a department. This movie makes the best use of mirrors I think I've ever seen in a movie consistently. Just constantly, you'll look and he's just in the mirror, and you're like, crap, it's gonna happen. Nope. It's just like seeping through the shots in this movie makes you very uncomfortable.
Well, it almost makes you think if that's something that they would have liked to have done more in the original, and now with like digital filmmaking, it's a lot easier for them to do that without having to like turn things around. One of my biggest gripes, though, and this is just me, and maybe if I watched it again, it didn't look. There is, and we're on spoiler territory. There's a reflection scene where he's in that apartment with that lady, and it's like him, and then he sees basically Candyman in front of him. Candyman, and they're basically like mirror images of each other, and
lost count.
And I don't know if it was the effect or if they changed. It almost seemed like the effect frame rate was just a little less than him, and it bugged me a little bit. I think it was just done that way, so it looked a little creepy, or maybe it was just the way the effect was done. I just wasn't a huge fan. I'm also, aware now at the end of the movie that they have his face blurred a little bit because of what's going on. Because, spoiler alert, Tony Todd has to show up at the end.
Of course he does.
So that leads me into like my favorite, and I didn't mean to cut anybody else off. So leads me to my favorite and least favorite thing about the movie. We were talking about, I think all of us mentioned the lore. I love the way this film builds on the last one. It's my favorite thing about it. You get a second Candyman, which is really cool. I think that's really interesting. And then we get like a third tacked on, which is really weird and forced and heavy-handed. And it's so silly. But I really liked the way they played with the lore, which makes Tony Todd's pop up at the end of the film completely pointless. It was a really cool thing to happen. It means nothing for the movie. In fact, Matt, you said it makes you appreciate the old one better. And Alex, you were talking about, before we even recorded, you were talking about how the original, he's not giving out candy. It almost makes this a really good companion piece where you're like, oh, there's a pile of candy that she finds in the first one that never goes anywhere. Now the second kind of fills that a little bit, where you've got both films happening in a legend that carries itself through both these antagonists. But the heck is this guy doing, trying to create another Candyman? Like
gentrification, Brian.
The film's already doing it though. Like he's already going through this transformation. Like it's really heavy-handed. It's hook-handed, if you will.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. So
see, this is where I'm going to interrupt you, Ryan. I'm sorry, because it's like this thought keeps coming to my brain. And I think you guys keep talking about the lore and stuff like that. And that's, yes, I think if they kept with it, that it would have been awesome. But my problem with some of this movies is that they picked and choose like where to go with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't consistent. Where it was like, this is my opinion. You know, for anybody that's out there, just this is my opinion. But it's just like the white people that kind of like brought him in, you know, like called his name or whatever else like that. They were taken care of, or whatever it is that you want to do. And then like some of the African Americans that they did, they were not, because they made it like this, like folk hero, and that's fine. But my inconsistency with that is like you were just saying, that one guy's little sister like invoked him and still died. So it's just like, well, if you're going to consistently do this and have this be like an Avenger, you know, for African American people, why does his little sister die? You know what I'm saying?
Because she was an asshole.
Yeah. It also really doesn't line up with the original, because in the original you feel like Candyman is this kind of break from reality where these grisly murders occur, and it kind of deals with, heavy-handed or not, depending on how you want to look at it, it deals with the idea that people are looking to this horror figure as a way to kind of break from the reality that these murders are occurring otherwise. Candyman is not the biggest killer of 1992. There were more deaths there than was attributed to this slasher, but you get this idea that you kind of can have this thing to look forward to, that you don't have to wrap your head around it. He's just thing that shows up and kills people in a mirror because I don't want to think about the fact that these murders are happening outside my room.
Right.
And this film is the opposite.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. It's not really consistent in the film itself either, where like people are calling him and dying no matter what, except when they're not.
Right.
Yeah, and I think there isn't even a line at the end of the film where they like he like not rights wrongs, but he like he like defends or like kills the people that have wronged things. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he basically, I mean, if you look at the people that he murdered in this movie, he murdered all the cops at the end. He murdered the room of teenage girls in that bathroom, which is the most random thing ever. And I guess they try to justify that because they were picking on that black girl in the bathroom right before they got murdered.
Mhm.
I guess. He murdered that the reporter or the critic who I guess
That's
was
a little
kind of
on the nose.
racist a little bit when she
Rude.
was
It was like they wanted you to think that she was, and like because when she's looking at Anthony's mirror and like listening to him explain, she's like something your kind, and he's all like, she's like artists, and I'm all like, stop doing that, stop it, either make her that way or don't.
No,
Yeah.
I think I want to say they were making her that way. That was just her character.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just put something together in my head. This film definitely uses the art in the movie as an analogy for the film itself, where this guy is pressured to make this follow-up to this thing that people really liked because it's really vague. He does it. It's so on the nose that the critic doesn't like it, and then she dies. Of course critics like it.
Another thing that go ahead, Ryan.
The irony is that he ends up becoming the villain by the end, so continue.
Self-reflective, man. No, I was just gonna say another thing that bugged me in the script was I don't know where the main character's psyche is, but obviously it was degrading over the time. But he gets stung by that bee, and his hand's literally decomposing, and his girlfriend or no one just tells him to go to the doctor. I'm like, it takes him 3/4 of this movie before they go to the doctor, and then the doctor's like, "Welcome back," because they're like trying to bring up the next part. I'm like, "Oh, he's been there. Oh, he's been there before, as a baby." Spoiler, but go to the doctor, man. Get that checked out. Hand's decomposing from a bee sting.
Yeah. Which also advertises the twist very early on. Like it's like the trailer was really vague, and then you watch the movie and you get 10 minutes in and you're like, oh, nope, I got it. I'm like, I can piece it together based on the trailer now.
Well, yeah, like the laundromat guy, like that was just literally out of left field. Like, why are we going crazy?
Yeah, really.
Okay, we're gonna make a new Candyman.
Yeah, like if you took that out of it, I mean, maybe he doesn't have the hook, but like you could still do your on the nose. He gets killed, and becomes the next Candyman thing. But it's like it was that subplot, that idea came into existence before the finale, so the finale is just tacked on to make sure that the rest of the idea can happen.
Yeah, like why would you even need the laundromat guy in there? Why can't he just become like Candyman on his own?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it, and I'm wondering if it's just because he has the connection to like the projects somehow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they were like talking about it, and they were like, they ripped down all these projects and like, put people out, and they built these skyscraper condominiums, whatever. And like, I guess the laundromat's the one remaining factor to the projects there, I guess. I don't know.
Or why couldn't this guy just dress up like Candyman and just roam around murdering people?
Which is somewhat what happens in the original too, in the first half.
Yeah. So
I like to do another question too. You're on the run from the police, right? Maybe don't hide in a hole in a laundromat and toss candy at kids.
I love that. Was probably my second favorite scene of this film, by the way, is when his reveal right at the beginning, when he's coming out of that wall, and they show it twice actually. I'm like, that is the most unsettling thing. I don't know, just the way the coloring was, and just the way he just pops up from that shadow, just showing up. I'm like, You're just asking to get shot, though. You're asking. There's no way this kid isn't gonna get like molested or murdered or something. Like, what are you doing right now? This is messed up. And why is there a huge hole in the wall anyway? What's going on here? I mean, it's the projects, but yeah, still.
I thought his smile was creepy.
Yeah.
I was like, that smile is creepy as shit. So
I did like the correlation between I guess the original. Not. Do you still call him Candyman? Like when he's in his first incarnation, like because obviously you get that moniker from the dude who's handing out candy, but from the guy who was like murdered in the streets with bees and stuff. I can't remember the character's name, but the original one was like an artist too, as opposed to this guy was also an artist. I thought that was super interesting.
Interesting.
Just trying to correlate it all together.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any more thoughts on Candyman?
It looks nice. The sound's nice. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, it makes more sense, but it could make better sense. The whole Candyman thing's kind of weird anyway. So
yeah. Oh, well.
We'll
I
watch
haven't
the
even
first
listened
movie.
to the score yet. I'm still hung up on Green Knight. When I'm done listening to that, I'll listen to Candyman.
Cool. All right. Well, then coming up next week for three of us, since I can't really leave anywhere, Shang-Chi. Yay! And the 10
Yay.
something.
Hey, when does your quarantine end, sir?
The 13th.
Oh, yikes!
Yeah. I literally have to put a mask on in my whole house and walk out the door just to go to work. She's doing better, by the way.
Hopefully, you're all doing well.
Yeah, we both, like Amy and I both came back negative. It's just the little one that got
Good deal.
corona. So, anyway.
Well, we'll all review Shang-Chi, and Clint will review the past 5 years of Chris Tucker movies.
3 out of 10. All of them. Just putting that out there. All right. Just to let you guys know that we are on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. If you guys don't want to sit down and listen to us or watch us, you can listen to us. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment. If that's it, this meeting's adjourned.